What if Anakin never told the Council about Palpatine? Let's explore the depths of it in the video. Anakin stares at Mace Windu in the hangar of the Jedi Temple. The news of Palpatine's revelation is still ringing through the young Jedi. He knows he should reveal it, and that this is exactly what the Jedi feared. But many questions are still buzzing in his head. He wonders if they will even believe him. In his hurry to get out of there, he had not been able to get any recordings of it. All he really has is his word. For the Jedi Council, that does not seem to be worth much. He still recalls how they had rejected all of his ideas in the past, and how they had failed to act on his warnings. Even with Ahsoka's trials, they failed to stop anything, and nearly expelled Ahsoka without any real evidence. Then he realizes that they might very well try to do the complete opposite here. They might try to jump on the gun and act while they have no real evidence to back them up. This is one of the only instances he has seen them acting with any urgency. And in doing that, they might inadvertently bring the wrath of the Senate upon them. He watches as Mace begins boarding his gunship, and Anakin steps back into the shadows, watching him go. Once he is gone, the Jedi decide to make their way back to the Chancellor's office. There, Palpatine is waiting for him with a smile.
My boy, you are back.
Save it. I'm not here for you. I'm only interested in what you have to say. You said you have the power to help me.
Indeed, my boy. The power to prevent death has been sought by many since the creation of the galaxy. But only the Sith have been daring enough to actually try and harness it. To achieve mastery over death requires mastery over the dark side. For only when you use the dark side can you understand the Force in its fullest capacity. Tell me, have you ever heard of essence transfer?
I can't say that I have.
Unsurprising. It is a relatively forgotten ability in the Force, one with considerable potential. It offers the power to transfer someone's essence into another host. For example, your dear wife.
Anakin stares at the Chancellor, wondering if he is truly serious. A power like that only has existed in theories and ideas, even amongst the most capable Jedi Masters. And even in those theories, all agree that such a power is deeply unnatural and goes against the very nature of the Force. By nature, it is meant to be flowing and free. No one, not Jedi or Sith, should ever be able to control it. If someone were ever to harness this power, it could change the very reality of life and death.
Are you saying you have this power at your disposal?
I can make no guarantees. While this power certainly is possible, some requirements must be met. We require a host. One with unique blood can accept new midichlorians. As you can imagine, a being like that is exceptionally rare, and cloning efforts have so far been in vain. But I suspect that some within the Jedi Order may possess these abilities, and we must harness their powers.
The Jedi? You mean that we must capture a Jedi and experiment on them to get the answers?
I never said that such a plan was not without risks or sacrifices, but surely the Jedi could be prepared to pay for the advancement of the Force, given how they are the ones stifling its growth. I already have a list of potential candidates.
Anakin knows what Palpatine is suggesting is wrong. He knows that this will only bring trouble, and yet he reads the list that the Chancellor presents. Within them are many names he recognizes, names of Jedi Masters he has disagreed with, some he does not care for, and yet that does not mean he wishes to see any of them dead or experimented on. But the prospect of this power is intriguing, and as the day Padme will give birth draws nearer, Anakin finds himself more desperate.
If you are ready, I can begin showing you the basics of these powers.
The two of them leave the Senate building, where Palpatine takes the boy to his home. There he begins to show Anakin the ways of the dark side, how to use his emotions as fuel, and how to channel powers considered forbidden by the Jedi. These powers come easily to Anakin, as he has long struggled with controlling his emotions. Rather than bottling them up, he now feels free to unleash them, like a dam breaking. This also proves to be the best time to channel it, as his emotions run high. He thinks of his struggles with Padme and the fear of her impending birth. He thinks of his frustrations within the Jedi Order, and the anger of having Ahsoka leave. All of these are things that he just had to accept in the past, things that felt beyond his control. Yet, at last, he has an outlet for them. For the first time, he truly feels like he is in control of himself, and the power flows freely. He laughs as Palpatine guides him through it. He shows him how to direct this anger into a point, and then let it all out. This emerges in a powerful shockwave that rattles through the entire house, leaving the room shaking, but Palpatine laughs.
Good. You will become a master in no time.
As the exhilaration wears off, he begins to believe that he might truly be able to save Padme. But in the meantime, he must now consider their next steps. Palpatine teaches him about the different powers of the Sith and how to use them, and more importantly, how to keep the darkness within him hidden, as he had for many years. With these lessons comes a new plan. Just as Palpatine had said, he requires a host for Padme if they are to perform an essence transfer, and he's listed a group of potential Jedi. As it so happens, a few of them are in the Jedi Temple now, and they can lure them out. The best way to do that is through Palpatine. As they begin their training, Anakin continues to report to the Jedi Order and placate them with the goings-on in politics. He has not mentioned Palpatine's revelation or their training. As far as they know, he is simply a political figure unwilling to let go of power. But even that is troubling enough for the Jedi Order, who worry that Palpatine will refuse to return emergency power after the war and plunge the Republic into dictatorship. With the Outer Rim siege winding down, they are convinced that it is time for him to begin stepping down. The reports that Grievous has finally been slain are the final nail in the coffin, as there is now no one in the CIS able to take command of the droid forces. Many in the Senate who are allied with the Jedi now call for Palpatine to issue a statement outlining his plan after the war. After days of pestering, he at last calls for a press conference where he agrees to address these issues.
Attention, everyone. I understand that many of you are concerned about the galaxy now that the Clone Wars are coming to an end. You are worried about the chaos it has left and how we shall recover. More importantly, you are worried about how our Republic will look once the dust settles. These are reasonable concerns that I will be happy to address now.
He pauses, just as cameras and recording devices all train towards him.
There are some who believe the time has come to return emergency powers to the Senate and to return to a civilian government. While I agree that such an action will put many minds at ease, we cannot ignore the practicalities of our government. In our current situation, our Republic can coordinate efforts. Peace of mind is good, and most especially for those most affected by the war. That is why I cannot, in good conscience, relinquish my powers if it means I can help them. I know many will claim me a tyrant, but let them, so long as I continue to serve my people.
The announcement was met with applause by his supporters, who pointed to it as proof of Palpatine's commitment to serving his people. They praise him for his dedication in helping rebuild the galaxy, and many agree that it is more important to rebuild the galaxy first, and returning emergency powers can wait until after that is taken care of. But many senators are horrified, Padme most of all, who sees the Republic slipping into authoritarianism. She tries to protest along with the likes of Bail Organa, insisting that this is not the way and they are no longer in a state of emergency. However, these calls fall on deaf ears, as none of them take it seriously. Even the Jedi are not given the same respect, as many simply remind them that they are not politicians who can decide the fate of the Republic. They are peacekeepers, and now generals. But to Mace, all it does is confirm his worst fears. While none of this proves him to be a Sith Lord, it does confirm that he is a politician, and a power-hungry one at that. While he is upset that Anakin said nothing about this and acts as if he had no idea, he decides to confront him later. In the meantime, he will take matters into his own hands. Taking a team of Jedi, he decides to confront Palpatine directly and demands his resignation. Among them are Mace, Luminara, Kit Fisto, Ajen Kalar, and a few others. They march right into his chambers and palm their lightsabers. When they arrive, Palpatine simply looks up from his desk and chuckles.
Ah, Master Windu. What an unexpected pleasure. What can I do for you today?
Your resignation, Chancellor. We will have it, one way or the other.
Oh, I'm afraid I cannot do that. The galaxy needs me. It shouts for security that I can provide.
It's not you the galaxy needs. It's civilization. Now surrender before we do something unpleasant.
Oh, that certainly sounds troubling. Very well. I suppose we should get this unpleasantness out of the way. Just be warned, though. Forcing the issue might be seen as an insurgency to some. If you are uncomfortable with that, I suggest you walk away.
Their response is to ignite their lightsabers and stand ready. Palpatine chuckles. and then his table suddenly flies forward as he uses the Force to propel it at them. Mace stands his ground and breaks it apart with a downward strike, but as it breaks apart, Palpatine is already springing forward. A shriek rips through his throat that leaves the Jedi momentarily stunned. He sweeps his lightsaber and cuts one down, then whirls to strike another. Both fall without a word, leaving the 4 remaining masters to raise their blades and block the spinning strike from Palpatine. The Chancellor laughs and rushes at Ajen Kalar just as Kit Fisto stabs at him. He sidesteps this strike and then slides back from the follow-up strike. While the two prepare to advance on him, Luminara stabs from behind. However, Palpatine leaps in the air and lands clear of all their strikes. Mace moves to join in and forces Palpatine to parry. He twists his blade aside and then slides it right into Kit Fisto's cheek. The Jedi screams in pain and nearly drops his weapon, but it gives Palpatine a chance to kick him aside and then finish him off. Ajen Kalar tries to join in and sweeps his lightsaber in a slash, but Palpatine sidesteps and takes his head off. Luminara and Mace watch their companions fall in shock. They hesitate, staring at the Chancellor in surprise, and then they proceed a bit more cautiously, advancing slowly, then moving from either side. They try to coordinate their strikes, hitting whenever Palpatine tries to stop the other. This at least keeps them alive, but neither can make much headway as Palpatine's defenses remain impeccable and holds them firm. However, as he battles, the Chancellor secretly hits a button on his communicator, and seconds later, Anakin rushes forward from the other room. The 2 Jedi Masters look at the young Jedi in surprise, but Mace narrows his eyes. Though Anakin is masking the dark side, it doesn't seem to stop Mace, who already suspects much of what is happening.
How convenient to see you here, Skywalker. Now tell me, what exactly is it you are doing here?
Luminara flicks her eye towards him, and Mace tenses, poised to strike at a moment's notice. His glares only seem to incense the young Jedi. It is the same judgment and mistrust he has received over the years. Then he makes the decision. The former Jedi suddenly lunges towards them, but Mace is ready. He spins at his heel and blocks his strike with one hand. As he parries the strike, the Jedi Master uses his free hand and sends a piece of Palpatine's desk flying forward. It sends Anakin stumbling back, and he skids across the ground. Luminara tries to capitalize on it and hurls her lightsaber, sending it spinning towards him. The young Sith barely avoids it by leaning back until his spine creaks in protest. But it flashes past his head, and he jerks up, unleashing a powerful force push. The blow is strong enough to send Luminara hitting the wall. He slumps there as Palpatine unleashes a burst of force energy. Mace tries to block the strike, but the power is overwhelming, and he is thrown back and flies out of the window. Luminara manages a weak gasp before Palpatine smacks her across the head with the hilt of his lightsaber and nods in approval.
Excellent job, my apprentice. And now we have the source for our essence transfer. Help me get her down to the lab.
Anakin hesitates, looking over at the Jedi Master's unconscious body. He feels a moment's hesitation as he regards the Jedi, one who used to be his friend and with whom he had fought on countless battlefields. Palpatine seems to notice his hesitation and places a hand on his shoulder.
Your compassion is wasted on the likes of her, young one. Remember all the things she has done in the past, all the things she has said in the name of the Jedi Order.
And so Anakin does. He thinks back to all the callous things Luminara has said and done, how she had quickly given up her Padawan for dead, saying it was simply the will of the Force, how she had allowed innocents to die for the greater good without compassion, and most of all, he thinks back to the time when he had spoken to her about Barriss after she was arrested.
Master Luminara, I hope that you are okay, given everything that just happened with your Padawan. It must be so hard to go through this, knowing that she had turned against everything.
It is difficult, I admit. Sometimes I wonder what had happened to lead her down such a path, to cause this kind of death and destruction. I still struggle to imagine it.
She seemed to have her reasons. She seems to think that the Jedi have lost their way and have become blinded.
Indeed. It is a dark day when one mistakes light for darkness and darkness for light. But perhaps this path is not meant for everyone.
I mean, that certainly is true, but Barriss was one of our best. She was a gifted healer and had compassion in her heart. It seems to me that she simply needed more guidance or a way to cope with the war.
Perhaps. But how unfortunate it was for her to serve in such a demanding time. With any luck, my new apprentice will prove to be sturdier.
Anakin can hardly believe what he heard. He had seen Luminara write off her apprentice as dead before, but now there was no denying her faith, and yet Luminara could not even bother to mourn her or show compassion. Instead, she simply discards her like a broken tool. When he looks at her again, all he can feel is disgust. Without a moment's hesitation, he slings her over his shoulder and begins to drag her out. The lab is directly beneath Palpatine's residence, and as they enter the secret facility, Anakin feels the dark side wafting over him like a physical blow. The smell was initially noxious, and he began to cough, but after a moment to get accustomed to it, he was surprised at how easily he walked down the facility. The sight that greets him below is a horrific display of ancient machinery, things that hum softly with both electricity and something more sinister. These are inscribed with the runes of the Sith and ancient words that would have been long forgotten in the Jedi Temple. Each one is scrawled with blood-red ink and seems to be calling to Anakin. He sees massive bacta tanks lining the sides of the facility, though their fluids are a sickly green color. Many are too foggy to see what's inside, and Anakin suspects he'd rather not know what's inside. When Anakin reaches out to the Force, he feels a tide of darkness washing over him. It radiates everywhere, from the devices on the walls and the very air they create. He wonders how the Jedi could have missed something like this. But as he has no time to consider it, he places Luminara in an empty bacta tank as Palpatine begins tapping something on his control panel. The machines begin to hiss to life as they examine Luminara's vitals. The fluids in the bacta tank begin to examine her, taking note of her midichlorian count and preparing her for the procedure. Soon enough, data begins to pour in from the machines, revealing some important information. For some time, his spies in the Jedi Temple had suspected that Luminara's power in the Force made her an ideal test subject for Project Necromancer. She is strong in the Force, and they had suggested using her body to lure any possible escaping Jedi after Order 66. But it seems like Luminara has a better use. She would be used for essence transfer due to her connection to the Force, making it easier to handle the procedure. But that will need to wait, as for now Palpatine must ensure that the rest of his plan goes off without a hitch. Once he has all the relevant data he needs, he makes his way back to the Senate building to reveal the news. The footage he plays is a highly edited version of the attack on his home. In his place, he has several of his personal guards fighting off the Jedi who demand his resignation. It is only due to Anakin's timely arrival that Palpatine is saved. But he does not end it there. Palpatine urges the Senate to take action. This was an insurgency. The Jedi could not accept the results of the Senate vote, and now attempted to force the outcome they wanted.
The Jedi claim to be peacekeepers, but is this the type of peace they fight for? One where they decide what is best for everyone, and the galaxy must simply accept their whims. If that is the case, then this is not a galaxy I will accept. I urge the rest of you to do the same. The Jedi must be reminded that they are servants of the Republic, just like us.
The speech is met with thunderous applause, even as some like Padme tear up, shaking their heads at the sudden backsliding of democracy. She watches all of this happen before being guided off to the hospital, where she feels her water breaking. The Senate votes to support Palpatine's motion that orders the clones to forcibly disarm the Jedi Order. Anakin is in charge of leading this attack, and within the hour he is rushing up to the temple with his lightsaber flashing before him. Behind him, wave after wave of the 501st stream, shouting battle cries and firing their blasters in the air. Before them lies a forest of green and blue blades that whirl around as if a hurricane has blown through the temple. They deflect blaster bolts and slow their advance. The Jedi are better prepared for this battle than expected. The delay in this assault and having to inform the Senate of it allowed the Jedi to prepare. Many were called back to defend the temple, and others managed to escape. Now they find a fortress filled with the best and brightest, and the clones are paying for it. Anakin curses and uses the Force to propel himself in the air, flying past their defenses and landing in the center of combat. His landing creates a seismic impact that throws the Jedi aside like ragdolls, leaving them stumbling aside and blowing a hole in their defenses for the clones to exploit. Just as the defense slackens, the clones fire missile launchers at them and widen the gap. The Jedi scream, and troopers soon rush up the steps, taking the fight to the temple guards itself. Though hundreds of men have fallen, they are at last making progress. In the center of this fighting is Anakin. He helps ensure that this momentum doesn't slow down as he cuts through the Jedi who direct their comrades, ensuring they cannot fight as a unit. This adds further chaos as they are slowly driven back, but as they fight, he sees one figure who stands out over the rest. He is badly burned, and one hand hangs limply across his body, but his presence is powerful nonetheless. Mace Windu.
I see you are the ones who warned the Jedi Order of my coming, and I will be the one who stops you now. We shall see.
He springs himself toward him, lightsaber coming down on him. He aims to overpower him with his strength, and yet things are not that simple. Mace might look weak, but he manages to halt his attack, and then pushes him back. Anakin leaps back and stares in surprise, and then comes at him again. He moves and whirls, coming from different heights and angles, but Mace catches each of these strikes and holds them back. Even one-handed, he makes little headway. Anakin feels his frustration building as Mace seems to absorb each strike, and when he does, he whirls it back with a burst of energy that sends him reeling. Mace's technique of Vapad ensures that he receives a surge of strength after each strike. The darkness in Anakin flows through him, leaving Mace to enjoy a modicum of power that lets him keep his footing. He then smiles and lunges at him again, sweeping his lightsaber. The Jedi Master manages to block the strikes, and for a moment, their blades lock together. But Anakin then jerks his head and headbutts him. Mace stumbles back, and the young Sith comes at him. Instead of using his lightsaber as a main weapon, it simply becomes his way of keeping Mace's weapon at bay, and holds him back while his fists and kicks drive Mace back, his already battered body faltering. Finally, one blow sends Mace reeling, and Anakin follows with a downward swing across the chest that drops him. Seeing Mace fall, the remaining Jedi break, and they retreat deeper into the facilities. Anakin leads the pursuit, and they follow after them. As they reach the hallways, they see two figures blocking their path, Master Yoda and Obi-Wan Kenobi. They drive back the first squad of clones who rush at them with a burst of force energy. The battlefield seems to go silent as the two regard Anakin sadly.
I hope that Master Windu was mistaken when he said that you are serving the Sith. Watch you do this. We cannot.
Then the two of you are free to leave now if you cannot stomach what happens next. The Jedi are good at turning a blind eye.
You know we cannot do that, Anakin.
They raise their lightsabers and Anakin does the same. He stares at the pair and lunges forward, slashing it aimed at Yoda's head. Yet the diminutive Jedi leaps back, and Obi-Wan comes from behind. Anakin jerks his lightsaber back and blocks the attack, but soon finds himself pinned down by these two Jedi. Despite his efforts to barrel through, he cannot break them. Taking a deep breath, he reaches into the dark side, using it to aid him, giving him strength and sharpening his senses. While he can block their attacks with no problem, he finds himself fighting to a standstill as neither one of them is willing to give ground. They block and parry each strike, and press forward rather than balk. Anakin roars and meets them with rage, his blades slashing in wide, sweeping arcs that force most back, but these two have decades of experience. Yoda's agility leaves Anakin just hitting the air, while Obi-Wan's presence allows him to weather each strike. Soon, he finds himself starting to falter. As he fails to make any progress, they turn the tables and press him. He slowly starts to falter as the darkness recedes, anger replaced with fear, and ambition replaced with doubt. But Palpatine suspected this would happen. He watches all of this from his office and smiles, reaching out to the Force and beginning with the procedure. He reaches into Padme, who lies in her medical bed, fighting for dear life as she tries to give birth. And he reaches for her connection to the Force, starting to weaken it. Part of it goes to her new host, but another part goes to Anakin, giving him strength. To the Sith apprentice, it is like a surge of strength coming from nowhere. He feels a strange warmth blossom in his chest as he feels Padme whispering to him. And then, he rises yet again. Both Jedi are surprised to see Anakin rise again, but quickly go on the offensive. Anakin lets out an ear-splitting shriek as his lightsaber whirls and slashes at them. His speed is even greater than either one had expected. Anakin drives Obi-Wan back with a flurry of blows, then rounds to Yoda when the small Jedi tries to lunge at him. He raises his lightsaber high, but the Sith blocks it and kicks him back. He stumbles against the wall and gasps, looking in surprise. He tries to dart aside, but Anakin is faster, and with a surge of energy, he slashes Yoda across the neck and leaves him dropping to the ground. Obi-Wan can only scream out as he watches his friend fall. He rushes to face Anakin, raining down attacks on him. His eyes blaze with righteous fury, and he tries to stop Anakin, but the Sith is too powerful. He intercepts each strike, and a single Force push throws Obi-Wan against the wall. He stumbles weakly, trying to fight against the Force, but Anakin stops him with a blade right through the chest. He stares at Anakin in shock, and then at the lightsaber in his chest. Obi-Wan reaches out to try and touch his cheek, but his strength fails, and he slumps to the ground. With that, the Jedi Temple resistance fails, and the temple is captured. Palpatine is quick to paint this as crushing an insurrection, something the Senate eats up. But that is the least of his concerns, as he soon invites Anakin to his lab to claim his reward. When he returns to the lab, he finds Luminara sitting up, holding a set of twins. The Jedi looks like she had never been injured, but there is something different about her. A kindness in her smile that was not there before, and a sereneness that was never there. And when she speaks, it is Padme's cadence.
Annie, I missed you.
Anakin runs up and embraces her, shuddering his thanks. Palpatine accepts it with a smile, but inwardly, he revels at how everything fell into place. He did not transfer Padme fully. A part of her essence was used to give Anakin strength. This allowed him to rewire her, alter less desirable parts to create a perfect puppet to control his new apprentice, and ensure he never rises up against him. That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.